Hey there, leader, and welcome to Season 2 of Conversations, where we seek to advance your leader and team excellence by discussing relevant topics that impact today's organizations. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Whalen. Welcome to the show. And welcome to Conversations for Leaders and Teams, where today we have with us Dr. Karen Totten White, CEO of Emerge New Unlimited LLC. Dr. Karen has a doctorate of strategic leadership, is a consultant, a panelist, a keynote speaker, and the author of The Money Cycle, Your Personal Journey to Financial Independence. Dr. Karen is a financial literacy expert. I love that. A financial literacy expert specializing in personal and business development. With 30 plus years of experience in the financial industry, Dr. Karen partners with small businesses, spiritual and civic organizations to share her knowledge while motivating audiences to maximize their financial and personal potential. For all you Clifton Strengths enthusiasts, Dr. Karen leads with positivity, responsibility, communication, developer, and strategic. Dr. Karen, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hello, and thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Where are you coming to us from today?
I am coming to you from the middle of the United States on the East Coast in the state of Virginia.
All right, Virginia. Spring is springing?
Yes, it is. We have all four seasons, and it's springing at this point.
Awesome. That's terrific. Yeah, Virginia's a beautiful, beautiful place. Love it there.
Is.
Absolutely love it there. Well, I'm happy to have you on. You and I have been kicking around leadership theories and topics, gosh, since 2014. That's
yes, we have.
Time that we have been connected, and it was always such a joy when we were, writing together and putting things, out there. That was fun. I always enjoyed, your processing of different topics and things like that. So this is fun. And you were at the Confident Leader Symposium. You were on the publishing panel. So that was fun to have you. And now on the podcast, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into The Money Cycle, which is your book. And I would love just to start off by hearing, what was your motivation for writing the book?
Oh my goodness. My motivation for writing the book was after or during my journey in the financial industry, the 30 plus years. I dealt with individuals from one extreme of income to another. It could have been $25,000 or less per year, or it could have been over $250,000 per year. And I saw a pattern that some of them, it did not matter how much they made, it was how they managed what they had. And so it put me in a position where I wanted to help people to understand, hey, let's work with what you have, because so many people always like the prayer of Jabez. They always want the more, they are praying for the increase. But my question is, what are you doing with what you have now? We have to be wise with our current resources that we are in a position to handle the increase.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting how you saw that pattern, regardless of the income that somebody had, that there was a pattern and you picked up on that. And that's important, right? That's important for anyone. And so it's really, I really like how you positioned your book to be for anyone, regardless of income level, because we all need that financial health in our lives.
We do. And so many that talk about finances, they're talking about stocks and bonds and, big dollars. Mm-hmm. And therefore there's a whole market out there that feel like they don't have money to save, or they can't save because they are not in that category. But we have to master this area in order to get to that area.
Yeah. Those are some good words right there that somebody who is listening needs to hear, for sure. Yeah. So, how can leaders assist teams with best financial practices without violating personal privacy? That's quite interesting. I'd love to hear more about that.
It's very deep. I look at it from a leader perspective, like the employee assistance program. Okay. So many employers or companies offer an employee assistance program if a person has an illness, if they have a drug addiction, if they need help with smoking or whatever. But where is the help with the finances? One of the stories that I share so much is if you go buy a refrigerator, a stove, a microwave, or a TV, you get instructions. But when you get your paycheck, did anyone get instructions with their first paycheck other than
No.
here's your paycheck or here's your direct deposit? So therefore, that's where leaders can come into play to offer this assistance through an employee assistance program, which is part of what I do. And what it does is it shows that you care. You care
Mm,
about your employees. And then also, if you have team members or employees that feel like they never get paid enough, I don't care how much they make, they never get paid enough. It's probably not how much they're making, it's how they are handling what they make. So therefore,
yeah.
you train them how to do their job, but this invest in your employee on a personal level, and it's much appreciated because it's something that they can take with them wherever they go, just to provide that financial guidance through some source.
Yeah. And so this is something that you're able to help uh, organizations with, come in and help with that. Is that correct?
Exactly. Whether it's a nonprofit or it's the business, and this is from a leadership level, the leaders usually will take care of it when I come in. A lot of times it's on a lunch and learn basis, and
Mm,
we can just do like just an overview, a walkthrough to see where they are. We do the financial health assessment. That's part of the book. We do some SMART goals as part of the book. But then after that main assessment, so that everyone can see where they are, there might be questions that people don't want to ask in front of everybody because
of
it's getting
course.
into their personal finances. And I certainly honor that and totally understand the privacy is after working in the financial industry for so
Mm.
long. So what we'll do is basically a 6 month subscription after that. And over that 6 month subscription, we'll work with the people that are interested because some people just they don't want to, but if they want to put themselves in a better financial position, they'll have access to me. I'll work with them one on one.
Mm,
We go through, what you can do. Where are you now? Because you have to know where you are in order
that's
to
true.
take the next steps in this journey. And it is a personal financial journey because everyone is at a different place. So that's the first step that employees or leaders can do to help their employees.
I think that's terrific. I think that's great. The lunch and learn, and then, the add on. And, your book is set up in such a way that it's easy to go through. You have, like I said in the beginning, you have it set up really nice where you have those, different aspects where somebody can self reflect, fill in the blanks, do their checklist and things like that.
Yes.
And so I think that's great. And then if they do need something more, that subscription that you have that you're offering is a way for you to help that leader really dive in on a more personal level. So that
Yes.
sounds great.
Yes. And they will see progress. It's to me, it's a win-win all around because when we feel better about ourselves and we are in a healthy financial position, it's
Yes.
less stress,
Ooh,
which means we are able to come to work. We are able to
that's
be more
right.
productive at work because we are not concerned about, oh my goodness, I have this coming up and I don't know
Mhm.
how I'm going to handle it. I don't have a bonus for 3 months, but this is coming up right
Yeah.
now, what I'm going to do. So, working with them just over that short period of time, basically 6 months is enough to see a change because at the end of that first chapter, we start with financial fitness, which is dealing with your health. Um, You take the assessment to see where you are. You might be okay, you might not be. But the whole point is, as we move along in 90 days, we're going to take that same assessment again so we can see the little bit of improvement, just some baby steps. And then again, at the end of the 6 months, we will take the same assessment again. And when you can just see that little bit of progress, it makes people want to do better because they can see that they're making some improvement.
Yeah. And I think leaders will get that. They understand that we need to be measuring, right? That's how we
Yes.
measure success.
Yes.
So whether it's, in your role, in the workplace or your personal life, how are you measuring things? And so that's terrific that is the roadmap, and that you're constantly going back to, okay, where did I start? Where am I after putting a little bit of the work in? And then
Yes.
where am I now? And then reassess from there, I imagine. So great.
Correct.
Yeah, that's terrific. So, what does it mean to be financially fit? And how do we know if we are financially fit? Like, how would I know?
If you're financially fit, if you're able to pay your bills on time, if when your bills come, if it's in the mail or if it's on email, however you receive a bill, if you receive a bill and you can say, oh, let me go ahead and take care of that. That's the first sign of knowing you're financially healthy versus saying, oh my goodness, how am I going to take care of this? Where is the money going to come from? Or
Yes.
another, because your monthly bills are somewhat the same. But let's say you are paying your insurance on a quarterly basis, and it's March, it's time, and it's however many dollars, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I forgot about that, and you're trying to figure out how you're going to put it together because you have that pattern with the basic utility, mortgage, or rent, but that is an out of the box expense that comes 4 times a year. Have you planned for it? Everybody's financial journey is different, so planning is a large part of it. It's a large part of it. But if you can handle those out of the box expenses when they come up, if you need 4 tires, that's not a small expense.
That's
Can you
right.
handle that without it stressing you or having to figure out, as the people used to say, robbing from Peter to pay Paul?
Mm-hmm.
If you can take care of that expense without robbing from Peter to pay Paul, then more than likely you might be in a pretty good financially healthy position.
Yeah. And, it reminds me of some young people that I was encouraging. Open your mail. Don't just shove it to the side and pretend like it's going to go away. Do
It will
you
not go away.
do you hear that? Do you, like, are people, like, there's a mindset there that they're so overwhelmed, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So overwhelmed. And that leads to that health issue, which can
Mhm.
lead to stress. It can lead to overeating.
Mm,
Um, it can lead to, do you realize a lot of people are shopaholics? We
yes.
look at drug addicts, we look at
Mhm.
alcoholics, but shopaholics. And a lot of that comes from stress. One of the stories I share in the book, and I won't give it all away, but the issue to the problem was she was shopping because she was so stressed.
Ugh,
And that was her stress relief. She was buying
right.
stuff that she didn't even need for the children or the grandchildren or whoever, but it was just a stress relief to take her mind off of it. Well, that's something that needs to be handled. It needs to be talked about. We need to pull it back in line, get to the issue, resolve it. Yeah, we do.
Yes. And that leads me to the question, so is it shopaholic or retail therapy? That's, you know,
Exactly. Exactly. We
recovering it up.
we can fix things. We can fix things. And retail therapy might be okay if everything else is under control. So
That's right.
retail therapy is okay. If when the car breaks down, you can pay for
Yeah.
it. If when the insurance bill comes in, you can take care of it. Then, and retail therapy, like everything, should be in moderation. We
Yes.
have a budget for that. Okay, this is my mad money, this is my spending
That's
money. And
right.
I know that when I get to the end of it, hey, that's it until I can open that period back up for the next amount to spend in that certain period.
And I think that in our the way that we live now, I think back to my kids, and it was when, ATMs, back, in the 90s and whatnot. And they would always see me using an ATM. They really didn't have a concept of cash
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
really didn't utilize cash flow. I mean, now I don't even use cash at all. It's a rarity. If I know I'm going to the airport, need to tip somebody, things like that, definitely. But I think the way the generations have been, where they haven't had a real concept of, and I'm sure my mother, my grandparents probably thought that of me growing up. I know my mom talks about how, my grandfather, he was an entrepreneur. He was a barber, had his own
Hmm.
business, and he would put money, would have separate envelopes filled with cash for whatever
Hmm.
would need to be paid. Very good financial health.
Yes, yes.
And so my mother saw that, and that's how she grew up. And she was always very responsible with her money. But I think as the generations change and what they see, who's modeling what. And so I think there's an
Hmm.
importance for us to be modeling that health. And so I love this conversation. It's picking up
So
a
now
lot of
that
different things.
that is very important what you just said. You had some examples, your
Mhm.
grandfather, your mother. So with financial literacy, there are so many states that are just getting to the place where they are putting this in the school system as
Mm.
a mandatory subject. In most states, you have to have government,
Yeah.
English, history to graduate. You might use some of that in your lifetime. You know, Financial literacy is imperative to survive.
Sure
So
is.
we have children, young people that are so smart. They're graduating from high school, they're going on to college, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs. But where was that basic financial training? And, it's some generations, they didn't talk to children about finances at home because they felt like everything was taught in school. Everything is not taught in school. And so what I've done is I taught it to my children and a lot of young people and adults that I've mentored and work with. I call it home training 101. So I
Mhm.
remember when my son got his first paycheck, and he was so excited. First of all, they spelt his name wrong. And so I told him, how to correct that. And he got his check cashed and he came home. I think it was about $200. When you're 16 and you have
That's
$200,
darn good.
that's a lot. And so he had got, mostly small bills. And so he sat on the couch and he spread it out. He made it rain. He had the money laying on the couch. And I said, well, okay, you have to do this for such and such. So he put that in that pile. Then I said, and this much for this and this much. Well, when it got down to the end, he had about $40 left. And part of that, not the $40, but part of that was some money he owed me because I
Mhm.
had loaned him for some money for an item he wanted to purchase, but he had to pay it back. So he had about $40 left. And he said, is this all I have to last until I get paid again? I said, yes, it is. But all of your bills are paid. You've taken
Yes.
care of your responsibilities.
Right. That's a big word, responsibilities.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And teaching that
Yes.
for sure. And it's not, I don't think it's ever too late. It's like
No.
anything else, it becomes a habit, right?
Yes, yes. It has to become a habit.
In your book, you talk about loss. And,
Yes.
when I was flipping through, one of the things that I have right here, preparation of loss. And so a lot of individuals during this time, we are over a year into the pandemic, and so a lot
Mhm.
of people have experienced loss during this. So what are some steps that leaders can take to help before, during, and after loss of income, because that is
Okay.
a really big topic.
Yes. So let's talk about this in a twofold. I would
Okay.
like to talk about, of course, loss of income, but that loss of income can also come from the loss of a loved one,
Yes.
because we can lose a loved one and then our income is cut in half. So I think the pandemic has hurt us tremendously, but we've all learned a lot from the pandemic. And I think one thing that the leaders can do to help the people that they are leading is, first of all, show compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion means so much. People are stressed, and I know that the leaders have been stressed. I have dealt with businesses that were at a place where they didn't know if they could pay their employees.
Right.
They did not want to have to let the employees go. So I say, first of all, before, if you see something happening, have an open conversation. Have an open conversation with your employees at this point to let them know, hey, this is kind of where we stand. We're going to try to work through this together, because you know what? That's a buy-in. It lets them know that you're concerned about them, but it also shows that you care about them and you're showing compassion and you're in it together. They have been there for you to make your business successful. So at this point, there's ownership involved in both parts.
That's right.
I would say, as you're going through, kind of let them know. But as a leader, you need to be thinking about, where you are now,
Mm-hmm.
where you plan on going, and what you're going to do, and be open with them and let them know, hey, this is kind of where we stand. This is what we plan to do to try to combat it. We don't know if that's going to work. Be completely transparent. We don't know if it's going to work, but this is what the plan is, because that way you kept them involved and kept them included. Um, as we move through the pandemic, consider what I just talked about, an employee assistance program with the finances, because if something happens down the road, and it will sometime in the future. We might not live to see it, but it will. But you want to try to make sure that they are positioned to take care of themselves personally. And that also takes some of the liability off of you. Just think about, if you are a business owner or you are a manager and you have people that are working for you that are financially healthy or financially stable, it is not going to affect them personally or their performance, their job performance, as much if they are in a healthy financial position as it would as if they're not in that financial position, that healthy financial position. So I would say open conversation, talking to them, bringing people in to talk to them, encourage them to talk to their banker even.
Mm.
What can I do? I've dealt with so many people over the years that felt like, well, I don't make enough money to have a savings account, or I don't. Yes, consistency is the absolute key.
Consistent.
$5 does not sound like a lot, but if you multiply $5 or $10 times 52 weeks, that's something to put back that you will have if you have an emergency. So that's something I encourage employers to do. If you're not set up where you can offer a savings plan on a payroll deduction, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, just to have it taken out before they even get that
That's
check.
right. You don't
If
even
not,
see it.
encourage them to do it at their bank when they first. Let that be part of your human resource welcome. When you
Great idea.
welcome them in, and you're talking about the insurance benefits and this benefit, let that be part of your orientation, should I say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great advice. And when I hear you talking about, even $5, it reminds me of, what was it way back, and I'm dating myself. I don't even know if they still have them, probably not. When for Christmas, like the year before, you'd put $5
Yes,
in the Christmas fund or whatever
a
it was at the
Christmas
bank.
club.
A
I so
yes.
yeah, so
The
so
end of
yeah,
the
so I know about and you're not dating yourself. We are growing in grace. A
woohoo.
Christmas club, a vacation club. So let me share with you my aunt, who is 91 years young,
Oh,
and
wow.
I have learned so much from her. She never made a lot of money, never in her lifetime. But you know what? She has been to every state in the United States except for Hawaii, because she would have had to, get on a plane or a
That's a
boat to
long
go there,
trip.
and Alaska. But everything that's in she every year she would save her money. And she had a vacation club. And in August, she and another group of ladies and some other people, they would take a bus trip. And she's been to Canada. She's been all over the place on a small sum of money. So it was about the consistency of saving. Same thing, vacation club. That was the vacation club. But then a Christmas club. She always did a Christmas club. And she had, purchase gifts. She still stayed within a range. Now we know that Christmas is coming every year, correct?
It is.
So
no surprise.
No surprise. Same time, that's not a surprise either. We just might not know what day it's going to fall on, but we know what the date is. There are banks that still offer Christmas clubs. They might require that you have an account, that you do it through automatic transfer, but most of them started in October. So if you started in October, then you will receive your check the next year around the end of October. And that's most banks offer that on a weekly or a biweekly or even a monthly. And if it's on a monthly auto draft, then it starts from January and it ends in October.
Doable. For
Very
sure.
doable. Very
and there's
doable.
A payout.
Usually there's a payout plus interest.
Ooh.
Because they have held your money all that time. So you usually will earn a little bit of interest. And it's not about the interest. It never was about the interest for me. It was always about, I had that there that I didn't have to worry about, oh my goodness, Christmas is going to be in 30 days. And there have been, I just won't overspend. Yeah. I have told my children, this was years ago, my children are grown. Of course, at this point, they're upper 20s and 30s. But they were really small and it had been a rough year. And I told them, I said, I don't know if you're going to get anything for Christmas this year. I said, you might get one thing from your dad and I said, other people will give you gifts. I said, but you probably will get one thing. And so do you realize that was one of the best Christmases we ever had? Because what I realized was when they went in, they were not overwhelmed because they had gifts that they could open instead of having more than they could open. And I heard my son tell my daughter, we didn't get a lot, but I'm grateful for what we received.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That was a lesson for me to never overbuy going forward ever again at Christmas time for them or anyone.
Yeah. And I that resonates with me. My mom raised four kids, single parent. And we never had, big shebang Christmas, And so my kids, they never received a whole ton of gifts. And what they usually got were, I'm a clearance shopper. I still am. I want the good deal. Yes, I would buy them, clothes, when they were on clearance for the next year, things like that. And, it got harder as they got to be teenagers and the comparisons of their friends and what they had and this, that, and the other.
Yes.
But now, as adults, my kids really, they will shop the clearance racks just like mom, and they understand that. And so that definitely resonates with me. Yeah.
So that's important. That's important what you just said, because you role modeled for them. So, we as parents, that's why I say home training 101. We are the first teachers for our children, and they are never too young to learn about finances or money. Give them $1 or just whatever, and just talk about the value of it and how far it can go. It's important. That's how they learn. It really is.
And people are going to make mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes along the way, and got into trouble financially, a couple times, not not anything huge, but for me, it was like, what do I do
Mm-hmm,
now?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I had to kind of crawl out of that hole, but it
mm-hmm.
can be done. And I think you're right. If we can start young, in school, like you had talked about, if we can educate our young on the importance of financial wellness and give them, really simple ways of operating with their finances as they grow, they get more responsibility, right? That word
Yes.
responsibility again. And if we are able to model as parents as well as have that partnership with our schools, that is fantastic.
It is imperative. It's imperative. One of the, I used to go into the schools years ago, and sometimes money doesn't mean anything to young people. Usually it would be the high
That's
school because they haven't had to work a job or deal with it.
right.
So I would start out with career, and then we would talk about credit, because your career can determine your finances
Mm,
sometimes. First of all, it needs to be something that you like because you're
yes.
going to get paid anywhere you work. But it needs to be something that you like because you will get more joy out of it.
Mm.
And then we would talk about credit. I would always use this example, and I would pick someone and they would pick a car. And I would say, okay, Susie Q, her credit is great. And Joey Blue, his credit is not great. So Susie Q is going to pay less for that Bugatti than than Joey is because of the credit. People can
Right.
have the same vehicle and they might think, well, oh, they know their credit is not great.
Mm,
They think, well, it's okay. I was able to get it, but you're paying more because you're
right.
considered a credit risk. You don't
Right.
want to pay more for the same thing.
And that's like insurance for that car
Yes.
based on credit. I never knew that. And when I learned that, it was like, man, and
Hmm.
I remember sharing that with my daughter at the time. It's like,
Hmm.
that these are the reasons why, you need to really be conscious. And again, just because your credit is low doesn't mean that you can't take steps to increase that, which is the
Exactly.
good news.
That is the best news. I give the example with cleaning up credit. So walk with me here. Let's say you just fix the bowl of green peas. Some people like green peas and some people don't. But as you're turning around, you spill them. So what are you going to do? Are you going to leave the peas on the floor? No. You need to put that bowl down, get the broom, and you need to sweep them. Well, you know what's going to happen with peas. When you sweep 5 this way, 4 are going to go that way. You can't let them go. You've got to just take your time and sweep them all up and put them in the trash can. That's kind of what it's like cleaning your credit up. It takes time, but it's very doable. You can get on the phone, and this is the information that leaders can offer their employees that will help them so much. Get on the phone, call that creditor, say, hey, you know what? I didn't realize I had this bill, or hey, can you work with me on
Mhm.
this so that I can get it paid? I can't afford to pay $200 a month. What can you do?
That's right.
What can you do? As a former banker, I can tell you, we want that money. They are going
That's
to work
right.
with you. They are going to work with you. Just let them know that you are willing. Let's have a conversation.
That's great. I'd like to circle back just for a moment before we get to maybe some of those best financial practices. I would love to circle back to the loss and the loss of a loved one. And
Yes.
so many times people are not prepared. I had the experience where my dad passed away and he did not have a will. And I had
Mhm.
talked, to him extensively
Mhm.
prior to that. And it was, he passed. We didn't expect him to pass away, so it was
Mhm.
very unexpected, and that led to a whole boatload of
Mhm.
chaos and
Mhm.
stress, and it was
Mhm.
a really long journey to get things in place. So if you could speak a little bit about the preparation or maybe some of the practices around that and
Yes.
preparing for loss.
Oh my goodness, I would love to. Um, it's very emotional. It's a
Mm,
very emotional time when you have a loss in your family. So, and sometimes it's hard. I've talked to several people, they have different aspects on this. Sometimes it's hard for them to talk about the fact that when this happens to me, what I want done. So, if you can't talk about it, write it down. Please write it down and tell someone, hey, I left all of this information in such and such place. And if something happens to me, just go look in that book or go look in that file. And you write it down. Write down where your bank account information is. And if you don't have a will, because some people still again think, well, I don't have enough to have a will, you can handwrite a will. It's great to have an attorney to draw up the documents if depending on what your assets are. But if you don't have a lot of assets, then handwrite your will and sign it. Get someone to notarize it and put it in a place where you have left what you would like to have done and you have left some instructions. Make sure people know who your creditors are, where your bank accounts are. And even now, put a beneficiary on your bank accounts, simply a payable on death. The person that you're leaving it to doesn't even have to go into the bank and sign. You can simply go in or whatever the procedure is at this point for COVID reasons and say, hey, I want to put this person on my account as a beneficiary, and you will give them name, just some simple information. But the important thing is to let someone, one or two people know where the documentation is so that they can handle everything. They love you. They're going to be grieving. And to have those instructions, really, it's a big help. So they will have some instructions on how you want things done. How do you want it handled?
Yeah. Yeah. Because my dad, the conversations would go, he would tell me exactly what he wanted. I said, Dad, it's not good enough for you to be telling me. You need to have a will, write it down, and,
yes.
And we all think that we're going to live forever, right? Most of us, it's like we just get up and we do our thing. We go to work. We have, the same, things that we do every day. And we really don't think about those loss and preparing for loss. I mean, some people do, and they're really good with it. But again, it doesn't matter really what your assets that you do have. Most people have something that they want to make sure is going to be taken care of correctly when they are no longer here. So I think it's so important.
And Kelly, if nothing else, if it's not the something, your funeral.
Yes, let's not forget about that.
Let's not forget that. Most people will have maybe some kind of little program, or they will have a memorial service. Well, where did you go to high school? What clubs were you in? What did you do in your life that you want someone to know about? Those are the important things. Who should they be contacting? Talk about those. It's just important. It takes stress off of your family overall. I have seen in my lifetime some people, when there is a loss, a loved one is lost, and brothers or sisters might seem like they're fighting. Well, they're grieving, and it can come out in a negative way. But a lot of that can be eliminated by just providing some instructions.
That's right.
Providing some simple instructions.
Yes. Oh, thank you
And
for that.
Back to leaders again. Life insurance is term life insurance is not expensive at all.
Right.
That is something simply a leader, whether you are a small company or a large company, especially small companies, might not offer that. You can simply connect with your insurance agent or an insurance agent in the area and said, hey, look, can you offer my people something that we can do through payroll deduction? The employee can pay for it, but it's taken care of. And they can walk away. If they leave that employer, they can still walk away with that policy already in place.
Yeah, that's great.
Just the knowledge and just empowering people with the knowledge.
That's right. Yes. Well, we are going to just turn the corner here and just maybe if you can identify some of those, financial best practices that you have in the book, and we'll end there.
Okay.
So I'd like to hear those. I
don't know if it's my favorite chapter or not, but in chapter 2, we talk about invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think that is so imperative. We invest in our children, we invest in our parents, we invest in organizations, we invest in our job. And when I say invest in yourself, I don't mean buying a pocketbook or getting your fingernails done. I mean, have you truly invested in yourself? What do you like? What is your passion? What do you like to do? If you lose your job today, what are you going to do? Do you have a
Mm-hmm.
hobby or a skill or something outside of your career that's a stress relief, not retail therapy? um, that's a stress relief that you can do. So that's to me, that's one of the best practices that you can do is simply invest in yourself. And sometimes you have to really sit and think about what that is.
Yes.
What do you like to do? What makes you happy? We all should have a joy inside. So think about that. What makes you happy, and learn to invest in yourself. That is my
Mm.
absolute best tip for best practices.
Yeah, that is so important because so many times we are the last person that we're taking care of. So it is
Mhm.
important to invest in ourselves.
Correct. When we're on a flight, what do they say? Put the mask on yourself before you put it
First.
on the other person. Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Dr. Karen, this has been a terrific conversation. I I can't even say it's timely because it's always timely. It's always time to really invest in yourself, to be strategic, and you have
Yes.
created a way in your book for people to strategize on how they can get from where they are to where they need to be. You have this wonderful lunch and learn that you can do. And I imagine that you go wherever the need is, whether it's
Yes.
you're on a flight somewhere or whether it's through Zoom and you're providing
Exactly.
those. You have that subscription, that you offer for that 6 months so you can really raise up good, strong leaders. I love that you talked about the connection with, the early learning of financial wellness and how that can carry people through, and about how
Yes.
leaders having compassion and really creating an environment of where they can become financially healthy or they can stay financially healthy with some of the programs, that you talked about. So
Yes.
great words today. And I would love to be able to connect people to you. So what's the best way for people to find Dr. Karen Totten White?
The best way to find me is on my website, which is www.emergenewunlimited.com. Or you can simply email me at Karen@emergenewunlimited.com.
Well, that is terrific. Thank you so much for coming on and really sharing your passion in the financial industry and really raising up healthy leaders. Love the book, The Money Cycle. I love the cover. Of course, see,
Yeah.
I'm like already thumbing through. I need to now sit down, and
Awesome.
I have some people that I'm going to send that to that I think would benefit from that. They can find that book on your website.
Yes, it's on my website. It
Okay.
is.
Very good. So you can get The Money Cycle on Dr. Karen's website. And thank you again. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I have really enjoyed the conversation today.
All right. Thanks, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you like what you hear, be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite listening platform. And check out my book, Leadership Excellence by Design, Strategies for Sustainability and Strength, available on Amazon. Until next time, this is Dr. Kelly Whalen. Keep doing great things because our world needs leaders like you.